Southwest Florida real estate just sent a mixed signal, and if you're a homeowner or a buyer, you need to hear this. Inventory is rising, builders are sitting on record high supply, and yet buyers are finally coming back because it is season now. This is the season we've all been waiting for. Prices have ticked up, but not for the reason you think. Behind the headlines, homes are still losing value, incentives are exploding, and the gap between new construction and resale is getting wider by the month. I'm at Zoller, Villa Realty Group. I've been a full-time agent in Southwest Florida here for over 25 years, and I do the graphs, the data analytics, and the math so you don't have to. Let's break down what is really happening. We start off with inventory, and lo and behold, inventory did exactly as, if you've been watching my updates and watching this graph since 2016, it has done the same thing over and over, peaking out in March and April and bottoming out in September. March, April, September. March, April, September. I'm going to put my little pointer on here. I forgot to do that. There we go. And then COVID slop, where we just lost inventory. It never gained any momentum. Started kind of doing its thing in 2024. But look at this. Peak out in March, bottom of September. Where do you think we're going to go? We're probably going to peak out in March, which right now sitting, the levels we're at, we are hitting almost 12,000 inventory that we need to sell. And that means we have a lot more to go. And I can always tell people are like, how much do you think we're going to get? I really think we're going to hit 14,000. Just another 2,000 more homes hitting on the market than not. Inventory went up by 4%. That is the fourth consecutive month. As we expect it to be a total out of 6 months up, 6 months down. New construction inventory went up. So builders gained more inventory, which is what's really driving this market right now. This is trend analysis that's kind of saying what do we expect for the future, and what is happening right now. Yes, inventory is going up. That means you're going to have better prices, better for buyers. Our inventory last year, January time, is 9% lower than it was in January. So that's kind of a positive thing. We don't have as much, which means we may not actually hit 14,000. But God help us if we do. Demand. Now, I have drawn these graphs, these lines, but this graph itself kind of shows you what demand does. And lo and behold, when does demand peak out? In March, when we have kind of the most inventory and everything's getting gobbled up. We do peak out in March, April, and every single high on this graph is lower. That is a lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, and look at the lows. Lower low, lower low, lower low, a 40-year low. But lo and behold, we actually sold 30 more homes than we did in our worst month in 40 years. Is that positive? It breaks the trend. You know, this last couple months, this last 3-4 months, we have not had 40-year lows like we did in all of 2025. So this is a positive trend. It's not negative, but sales plummeted 15%. That is a huge amount. I think we went from 900 down to 765. But guys, just because we sold 30 more homes than we did in our worst one, does that really mean that, oh my God, we're turning around? This is what we're getting? I actually saw a news article where they're talking about instead of sales down 15%, they're like sales year over year are up 5%. Well, that's a positive swing on very little sales. 765, not in Cape Coral, not in Fort Myers. This is all of Lee County. So good thing it was not the worst January in 40 years, just like it wasn't the worst November and December, and that is 3 consecutive breaks of that trend. Is that progress? Again, I wouldn't say so. Compared to the longer-term average, we are 44% lower in demand than we were over our long-term average. New constructions are down 14%. So even with all these incentives that you saw me get in the previous videos, this $80,000, $90,000 worth of incentives from these builders, they only sold 232 new constructions in the entire county. But what's funny is 232 out of 765. That's a third. A third of our demand are going to new construction. 1 out of 3 buyers are not looking at used market, but yet new construction is only about 14 to 18% of our inventory. So just something to consider. And what do we think is going to happen? Well, just like it normally happens. It hits 40-year lows. It should pop over this middle trend line here. And God, if we can break this top arrow and actually show for the first time that we can have a reversal pattern showing that we are good, Interest rates aren't helping out at all. You can see 6.15 when I wrote this, 6.19 last month. The interest rates aren't doing anything. They're just staying put. They aren't even talking about doing any more Fed cut rates, which doesn't, if you watch my videos, does not impact the mortgage market. The bond market does. So good things for demand. I mean, we broke some trends, so this is positive news. But 765 homes compared to 729, and that was a 40-year low. Not as impressive as if it broke the trend. Maybe this top trend line, and actually we can maybe even sell over 1,000 homes. That would be nice. Median home price is doing that stubborn thing I talked about. It's up 4%, it's down 4%. Overall, this is kind of the trend. It's on a downward angle. I mean, the hater loved the old financial crash of 2005 and 6. At least it was fast. Like, and when it hit its peak in 06, 07, it went down pretty fast. 3 years, it went down to the lowest it was, and then it kind of bottomed out and then plateaued back again. This is just being a stubborn you-know-what. From a high in 2022, we should be in 2026 and hitting the low trend of it. But this is just being really, really stubborn. Now, when you take median home price and you couple the fact that there were 78 homes, over 10% of the sales were over $1 million. The highest home, a lot of you guys like this, highest home sold, $4.8 million home in Bonita Bay, 4,400 square foot under air. The $1 million market doesn't care about interest rates so much. 232 of these homes were new construction, which is a third of our sales. This orange line, if you haven't watched my graphs in the past, this is actually what the home prices should be based on what affordability of what people make in Lee County. And as you can see, we overshoot it when we go through bubbles, and that is a bubble because that was 05, 06. We overshoot that line when we become very affordable. And then we got right back on that line in 2016 and kind of rode that 4 or 5 year wave up. And then look what happened with COVID, this huge escalation. And then, in my opinion, we're going to go just like this one, overshoot it, come back around, and come back out. Using this orange line, our house prices should be $266, not $365. So we have quite a bit to go until the average home or median home sale price, should be hitting this line. But if we still sell $1 million homes, then this graph is always going to be a little skewed. The home value growth, the growth month over month for Lee County, this really talks about when people say, are we a stable market? Is the market stable? If it's under this line, it's not stable. If it's over this line, then it's stable and growing. This is month over month, how much value your home went up 0.42% a month or 0.29% a month. But as you see in the last crash, when we peaked out at 3% a month, I mean, that's 36-40% a year appreciation on your home. We went equal and opposite straight down. Really talking about 05, and in 2 years' time, we were exactly opposite, negative 3%. And then it kind of got back up to it. But look how many years it took to hit the line in 2009. And then it hit it again in 2010 and didn't stabilize until 2012. So we are on an uptrend. This is really good. I actually have broken down the Zillow Home Value Index month over month over month, and I keep going back. It's negative 0.38% a month, but the previous month was 0.5, 0.72, 0.93, 1.17. It peaked 1.28 how many months ago? As it worked its way from 0.62 all the way up to that. But that is 30 consecutive months of negative home value growth. And last crash, it took 59 consecutive months for us to get back to stable, where we actually will hit this line and not reject it, but actually find stability with it and bounce off of that and get up back into where houses are going up 0.2 to 0.4% a month, or that average 3 to 5% a year. So are we stable? No. Affordability. I've worked on this graph a little bit just to kind of maybe show you target zones instead of just this big green line going up and down. This is the percentage of someone's gross income, which we know what the gross income is. It comes from the Census Bureau. If I know what the gross income is of Lee County, then I can sit there and take the average home and the average interest rate and the average taxes, the average insurance, and take that 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage and the average location, about 1,600 square feet, and say, what is the percentage of that gross income that people can afford? And you can track that all the way back to 2004. We crashed last time in '05 and '06. Why? Because people had to pay 50 to 60% of their gross income. That's not affordable. Actually, I highlighted anything over 45 is a crash incoming. What are you living off of if half your gross paycheck goes to your mortgage or house or rent? And then taxes are going to take 16 to 17% and leaving you not much money to live off of. Pay your bills, pay your car, pay your credit cards, go out to eat, whatever. Not affordable to me, right at that hairline. The long-term average is 27%, but look where the graph lied all the way back during the crash of 2009, all the way up to when we were stable in 2012. And that was right here in this 20 to 25% of gross income going towards that. And we stayed there for a while. It became not affordable briefly in 2018, and that's when, if you remember, the feds raised the interest rates like a lot. Like we had a 0 Fed rate, and they end up going to 2, and interest rates went from like 3-4% to like 5 and 6, and demand dropped. We had a little mini crash during that time, and the government very quickly went, oops, sorry, our mistake. We went back down to 0 again, and then we saw interest rates in the 2 and 3% range, making things very affordable, even though our house prices had been going up since 2012. But then what happened? The prices soared, interest rates doubled, insurance went up 40%, taxes, because they follow the value, they also went up, and we went right back into crash incoming in 2023. I had this graph going back then for people that were worried about when it hits the red, what does it do? And now it is working its way back down. Right now, currently, 30% or so of your gross income goes towards a mortgage. In my opinion, still not affordable. It's only happened a couple times, and it rejected it every single time and went right back down into my affordable box of glory. So this is a graph that kind of can tell you, where do we see the market going? I see it getting back into the target zone where people can actually afford the home. So let's compare month over month from January 1st to February 1st. Inventory up 4%. Our solds went down 15%. Our pending sales, though, welcome season, went up 25%. I want you to look at a correlation here. 1,152 pendings equated to 765 sales. It's about 66%. So if we say 1,448 pending sales, that should equal around 900 or so. Still not hitting that 1,000 mark, and nowhere close to our long-term average of 1,700 homes sold a month. You can see that new construction ticked up, not quite 100 homes, but if with all these incentives and all these builders, and all these deals that people are seeing out there, you really have to kind of just be patient, because they are growing in inventory. As long as they're in the market distressed, the used market does not have a chance. Our average time on market ticked up quite a bit, 4%. Our median asking price went up 1%. The selling price went up 4%. But you know what that is? It's when you have record low sales, or second record lowest sales ever, $1 million home really skews that number. And then percent asking price to sold price, 97%. That's just telling you the owners who are going on the market are getting a 3% discount from their asking price of what their current asking price is. But if you start, just because you see an asking price, doesn't mean that the guy did not think that it's still 2023 and his house is worth $100,000 more. Just because they're asking it doesn't make it real. It's not until it sells. So that is that. I brought back the buyers and sellers market by popular demand. People are like, I really like that thing. I want to know how many months of inventory, Ed, we have with the current conditions, inventory and demand. And right now we are well deep into the crazy, wicked, super stupid buyers market, because I've always just said we had a buyers, a sellers, an extreme sellers market. You got almost a year worth of inventory. That was almost unheard of. I never even got anything more than 8 if I go all the way back to 2018. We go all the way back to even the last boom. We never hit above 12. That's why I call anything above 12 super stupid, and then this is crazy, wicked, super stupid. And then I don't even know what to call the next one. Are you kidding me? And the other one might just be WTF. I don't know. But either way, as you can see here, the months of inventory still staying well deep into that buyer's market, which means buyers have more power than sellers. Sellers pretty much have to do what a buyer wants. And the days of I'll get my price or I want my price from sellers, that's long gone. That was pretty much all the years of COVID, 2020 to 2023. Buyers, you have power, you have control, and being picky and making sure you get exactly what you want. Well, there's plenty of inventory for at least the next 15 months. Wanted to show you an updated graph. Fred does update these sometimes monthly, but this is the new constructions in the south region of the United States. And I put a little green line from the previous record, set all-time record, which was right before our last crash. The builders built well too many homes. Well, that number is going down. We exceeded that number just a couple months ago, but in the last few months, a few quarters, builder inventory still has not reached the previous record. So it's going down. That's positive. Saw an article where they talked about builders are running out of homes because they sold more than they built. Well, they have about 280,000 more homes to go in the South before they can maybe get back down to when the last time we stabilized, 2012, 80,000 homes to 100,000 homes in the South. So again, I thought that was good news that the builder inventory is going down. Is it because of the sales? Well, not in Lee County. We gained more inventory. It's because they slowed their starts up a little bit. But that's news from Fred. This month's deal. People are starting to like my one. I pick one deal that I done that month, and let me show you this monster home. This is a brand new construction, 3-car garage, 2336 square feet, brand spanking new, 4 bedrooms, 3 full bathrooms. The 3-car garage was a kicker. Great big home. They had this red tag special sales event where they put it on the market for $428,990, which was discounted from their previous price, which was discounted from their previous price. On and on you go. But either way, that's what they're asking for. They were offering about $12,500 to $15,000 worth of concessions to closing costs. And that sounds good. Give me $15,000 to buy your home. That's an incentive. Because the house was far out, they couldn't give an interest rate. They couldn't give anything more than, here, we'll give you $15,000 to pay some, if not all, of your closing costs. And also, they weren't giving away the washer and dryer on that one either. So this is where we make offers. We started negotiating. And buyers, since they're in control, I said my buyer wants 6% concessions to closing costs because we can use that money to pay all the closing costs and have enough to buy down the rate even further. I want all the appliances, blinds, what's called the move-in ready package. I want you to pay off all those city water sewer assessments on that lot because this is in the Southwest Cape that has city water and sewer. And then I also want a 4.5% fixed interest rate, knowing that that costs about 8%. Well, let's add up these things. What eventually I got $9,000 off the house because that was what was remaining. That's what we were playing around with. And at the end, that was their final number, $420,000. 6% concessions, $25,200 closing costs, $10,000 more than they were even offering at the highest. Getting the appliance and the move-in package in there, washer and dryer and blinds for $2,200. The assessments run anywhere between $15,000 to $30,000. I just made it low and said about $15,000 they had to pay off these assessments on that, and then 4.5% fixed interest rate, which as I wrote this cost 8 points or 8% of the loan or $30,240. Add all that up. Incentives from January, $81,640. And an FHA buyer, she's going to put as low as $14,700 down, and her monthly payments, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, under $2,600 a month. And that's for a brand new 2026 home. It's 4-bedroom, 3 full bath, 3-car garage, city water sewer, no well and septic. So that's the kind of deals you get when you find a house. And my client, Liberty, she loved the location, loved the floor plan. It was everything they wanted. But the price of it, I think originally when we looked at it, was almost well over $3,000 a month. And that just was not affordable. We got it too affordable. So let's do an overview. January showed an increase in inventory of 4%. Pending sales increased 25%. Hey, season, right? But last month it dropped 20%, so really it didn't change that much. Sales did drop 15%. Median home price went back up, but you've seen this before, guys. Every single other month, it's up too much, it's down too much. It's the overall trend of the next low and the next low and the next low. Stability has increased slightly, but it's still not a stable market. But we've had 5 consecutive months of it's better than the previous month. New construction still, with all their incentives, far exceed the used market right now. And that's what's really driving this days on market. It's what's really driving the used market from really having to compete with builders, because what owner out there wants to give out $81,000 of incentives on a used home over a new home? And then still standing builder inventory is still would be still a record high, but a couple thousand more homes go off the southern census area, it'll get a lot better. Actually, we'll go under that high. So advice for buyers, as I say every single time, I'm really not changing this. I'm changing a couple words on this thing, but patience, 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 patience. I can't say it enough. I can say 30 minutes of patience just until it's drilled into your head. This is a market of falling daggers. Do not catch the blades, catch feathers. Wait for them to turn to feathers, magically turn them into that, and hold that. You will not get hurt. Forget the rates, forget hype, forget about FOMO buying, forget about articles that you might see that I already debunked a bunch of them in the past updates. Wait till your perfect home hits. Get your target number. Be patient. It will come. You got to pick your payment and let the builder come to you. And that's actually what I'm doing right now. Ed, what do you have? I got a $2,200 a month buyer. What do you got? Oh, we can make it work. Like I start with monthly payment now. You pick a monthly payment. We can go from there. Just wait for your deal. And we got almost 12,000 homes and inventory. Sellers are going to be motivated. Do not be afraid. If you love the home, you have to love the home to make an offer, no matter what that offer is. For sellers, now last month, people really enjoyed that I took one little community townhome. So I picked something a little newer because someone said, like, did you have to pick the 1980s 2-2, rinky-dinky townhome? How about a Lennar new construction at the time, sold right before COVID and then all the way up to currently? And I took the same square footage and I made sure that all this list, there's 137 that sold, but I took one small one, one big one, which the difference in square footage is like 8. But either way, one small one, one big one, and I showed as the years ticked down what happened. And as you can see here, before COVID, you would have paid about $200,000. The lowest price one that ever sold was like 201. So anyway, so this was 202,000, but there were a ton of them at the 200 to 202 range, and that was for a 1,900 square foot brand new townhome, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath townhome in a brand new community with clubhouse and a movie theater and lagoon pool. You name it. It's great HOA. All right. Fast forward 1 year, $13,000. That's okay. It's 5%. That's normal. Next year, $321,000. Look at that fake equity you got in less than a year time. For the same square footage, for the same home, someone ended up paying, $100,000 almost? $90,000 plus dollars more because of what? FOMO buying and COVID? And then it went up another $60,000 only 5 months later. Then 1 year after that, it started going down. $380 was actually one of the highest price. That person who bought that for $380, look what happened to the same unit. Next year, it went down to $345. And then next year, 10 months later, dropped down to $320. And then now it's a $275 sold 1 year later. So just that shows you what I show you with this for the sellers. And it's my advice to sellers. If you bought pre-COVID, you would have loved to say, Ed, I wish I would have called you back in 22 and 23. Well, yeah, everybody wanted to do that. We could sell homes in minutes, not even hours, not even days or weeks. It was minutes we sold stuff. You had it, they wanted it. You could have gotten $380,000. This person in 2 years' time made $180,000. Does that sound normal? Does that even sound like nothing changed with our city? That was just FOMO, fear, bubble, right? Call it a impending crash. But that's the kind of stuff that happens. It happened before. It's happening exactly the same way. But if you would have bought, let's say, that $200,000 townhome, you're still at $275,000. That's $75,000 in 5 years. That is a hell of a rate of return. Still way above what a normal real estate goes up. And this is why I believe, and all this data and all this math comes out to say, we still got a lot ways to go. This is why we have record low demand. This is why we have increasing inventory. That's why we have 15 months of inventory to get rid of. We just got to catch up to what people can afford. And that's where I really see this happening. Affordability will equal sales. It'll turn us around. We'll bottom sooner, the faster everyone just gets on board and does this. So you do have to market your home differently. You just can't Buyers in complete control, extreme, super wicked buyer's market. You need to give them something that they don't have to worry about. That's something that they have to paint. I'm not fixing anything. You don't have to fix anything. You just have to make it habitable. And if you don't, you need to price it like it's an uninhabitable home. That's all. This is the data that I acquire, and you can take a look or pause the screen. And guys, if you have any questions, I have lots of services I can provide. Even if you're watching this from out of state, I've had 5 people reach out to me saying, I wish you existed in blankety state. I can find those. Who better to interview an agent than someone who's done this 25 years, knows what they're talking about? I just don't know that area or that city. Helped a buddy of mine buy a home in Jacksonville. Did I go? No, because I don't know Jacksonville. I'm a Florida agent, but I know my place. I am a Lee County person. But if you want me to interview and take a half a day to find the right person, like if I was buying there or selling there, I wouldn't use me just because I'm an agent. I would use an expert that got the job done. So you can always give me a call. If you're buyers out there thinking, I always say, I would rather meet with you now and have a plan for 2-3 years if you're thinking in the future, because there's steps we have to do before that time. You can go on this teacherscanbuyhomes.com site. It's my prettiest site of all the ones I have, and fill out a real 3-minute survey. Tell me everything that you're looking for. You can always email me. But it's my cell phone out there, so if you have any questions, I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye.